All right.
You're a mess.
Now we're good.
Good evening, everyone. We'll be getting started in 1 minute. I would like to have this discussion. I missed.
I thought you were going to say you wanted something.
Not yet. I'd like to add just a brief discussion about the presentation on bullying, because I'd like to see if we could get some money for that out of the current budget.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, if I could add that. That's it. Good evening, everyone. At this time, we will be calling the City of Bowie Special City Council meeting of Monday, April 14th, 2025, Council Chambers. It is now 8:01 p.m. Those who are able, please rise as we do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone, and at this time, I will ask our wonderful city clerk if we have a quorum for the record.
Yes, Mayor, we do have a quorum this evening. Present in council chambers, we have Mayor Pro Tem Wolfley, Mayor Adams, Councilmember Brady, and Councilmember Truesdale. And via virtual teams, we have Councilmember Ndebumalo.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to add a brief discussion to the agenda regarding the bullying in our schools. The first,
You want a second on that?
yeah, it's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Mayor, this agenda doesn't have for addition, deletions, or amendments to the agenda. It's just a special meeting straight in for introduction.
Am I not allowed to do a?
It's not stated in the agenda for it, unfortunately. It's not stated in the agenda for addition, deletions, or amendments.
Let's do it during the budget discussion, so.
Can we add it?
Sure.
Yeah, yes, Mayor, you can add it. Proceed.
Thank you. We will move to new business, item A, the introduction of ordinance 0425 and resolution R1825. Staff introduced the fiscal year 2026 budget ordinance and capital improvements program for fiscal year 2026 through 2031.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for introduction of ordinance 425 and resolution R18-25.
Second. It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, the motion carries.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Oh, good morning, geez. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening. It's budget season, I understand.
H. Byron Matthews, Finance Director. Thank you for the opportunity to present the proposed FY 25-26 budget. Our activities for the night is to cover the ordinance, the resolution. We will have information on the general fund revenues, the CIP, and the capital projects fund. If you could turn your pages to, your budget pages to page 33, I will begin there.
Excuse me, Mr. Matthews.
Yes, sir.
City Clerk, when do we, because this was open, the ordinance was open for public hearing. Do I need to open a public hearing before he begins with his,
He
getting
could
into
make
any of
his,
the other things?
he could make his general statement, comments of opening of this brief discussion of the overall of the budget ordinance, and then you could open it for public hearing.
Right, and I'd like to do that right now.
Mr. Matthews, are you done with
Yep.
yours? Okay. Okay. So for the record, we did receive two comments via email for this public hearing, and there is also one signed up for speaking tonight.
Did I throw us two off schedule? No. Okay. Rob, Bob Rapazzi, come on. How are you?
Bob Rapchinsky, been resident of Old Bowie for almost 55 years and president of Huntington Heritage Society. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight for the Huntington Heritage Society. The group was founded in 1986 with the goal of furthering the history of the Huntington section of Bowie. The Huntington Heritage Society is being made aware of a situation with the funding for the Railroad Museum's improvement project. This project has been in the works for many years, and now we hear that funding could be redirected to another project, and the Railroad Museum project will be pushed forward out another 2 years. We remind the City of Bowie that the 5-year strategic plan of Old Bowie revitalization and Old Bowie Railroad Museum is at the heart of Old Bowie. Not funding this last leg of the railroad improvement project is just, I don't know, we would like to see it done. It's been on the books for a long time, and just would ask that the council consider keeping the funding in the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Having no other ones, I declare the public hearing over.
Mr.
I
Mayor.
will now bring up the new city manager.
Yes, sir. Well, that's all for that issue from our perspective. We'll go into the details when we get in the work session. So you can,
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn
I
into,
have that other item.
oh, I'm
That's
sorry,
why
I
I was-
apologize.
That's why I was going to it after this. Thank you. I'd like to refer to council about the issues that are going on in our schools and other things with bullying. We're aware of that in one of the neighboring counties. A kid committed suicide based upon being bullied and all of those. And we had someone came to present. What I'd like to do is make an allocation. If the city manager, if we have it in the current budget available to be able to do it, I'd like to allocate a maximum of $1K for all of the schools here in Bowie so that they can get this program going on bullying. I've talked with several of the schools, and they are really saying that they could really use this. For example, when we did the ribbon cutting, Tasker was saying that they have a program and they would love for us. So I'd like to see us set aside a maximum of $17K right now to support every school with the anti-bullying program that was presented.
the budget for the city council was $100,000. You all have expended 50 at this point. So that's, you have $50,000 available.
We have $50,000 available?
Yes, sir. And I understand there's 17 schools.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we set aside that 17K for the anti-bullying.
Second.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, motion carries. And on behalf of all the students and parents and everyone, thank you to the council for looking out for our kids, as always. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion for adjournment into budget work session number 1.
It's been moved and properly second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, everyone, and we will now get into the fun part of the work session. And my apologies to you, Mr. Matthews, for cutting you off a little early.
No problem, Mayor. I'm ready to go, I think.
All righty.
Well, give us 2 minutes for musical chairs and we'll be ready to go, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. How you doing, Dan? You doing okay?
17,001 for each school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're doing it for every school, and it may not cost that much. That's the max. So if it's lower than that, we will.
Sounded like it's 17,001 for each school. I think it was one per.
Yeah, because I said for all of the schools. And it ends up being 17.
Right.
And so-
But not a maximum, 1,000 to each school.
Again, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you again for the opportunity to present the proposed 2026 budget. I would like to begin with general fund revenues on the revenue detail page on page 33. Thanks. As you can see, the first box represents the property, real and personal property tax, which is the largest revenue source for the city. We're estimating that our real property tax revenue is going to come in right at about $40 million. The other categories are our special taxing districts, You may look at Gateway Stormwater Management. There's quite an increase there, and that increase is to allow the Public Works Department to handle some of the mandated work that needs to be done on that particular pond. That mandate is coming from EPA, and it's part of the Chesapeake Bay restoration project.
Pardon me, Mr. Matthews.
Yes.
Question for you. So that's going to be done by us, but where the source of the revenue is all of the retail properties in that area, correct?
That's correct, sir.
All right. And how in tune are they with this forthcoming increase?
I believe the Public Works Department has notified them. We probably still need to send a written document, but they're always in contact with the commercial owners out there.
Okay. My understanding is we've been doing it as a pay-as-you-go estimate for somewhere down the road.
Well, these are two different things. What you're referring to is the dredging, and that is pay-as-you-go. And we are collecting a reserve in order to pay for those future dredgings. But this was something that was done with the Chesapeake Bay. I can let Mr. Hung elaborate on that. But this is something that needs to be done, mandated by EPA, for us to keep our MS4 permit.
Gotcha.
The next section,
I think I'd like to just hear what it is that we're doing with our good retailers' money.
Mayor, Councilman, so that is a requirement often referred as a total discharge limit, and it is to comply how much pollutant we discharge from this stormwater management. And in order to comply, we have to do major rehab on this stormwater. And now we expect to complete the design by the end of this fiscal year, and once approved, we will commit to this project.
So with this redesign, it's obviously it's more than dredging. I guess it's in lieu of dredging and redesign of the outflows. Is that it?
It's pretty much a reconstruction rehab of this stormwater management to comply with the EPA regulations, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Another question, Mr. Matthews. This is a new expense because it's been mandated and we have to do it, and you've described it as separate from the stormwater management fund that we've been collecting. My question is, since it's a large chunk, can we take some of the money out of what we've built up over time through the stormwater management for Gateway funds and restructure in the future the funds to go in there to make up for what we take out now, rather than have the onus go on all the business owners at one time now?
it's a interesting concept, Councilman Brady. However, we've always had the matching concept in play. We have specifically reserved funds, particularly for dredging and dredging only. This is because we now have the requirements of the MS4 permit. We've never had this type of build out or reconfiguration of the pond. So from my professional standpoint, we just keep the two pots separate. That money is reserved for dredging. It should be there when it's time to dredge. And any additional cost that's incurred by the pond should be collected in the form of a tax to the special taxing district, so that we collect that money in synchronization with the actual spending of those dollars. Right. So in addition, with the city manager is saying there's really not enough money to cover this expenditure there, even if we wanted to use that.
Well, I'm looking at the entry first, number 6, stormwater management.
what's the 161, oh, that's, I'm sorry, the 1.305 million, which is what the yield is based on the, I mean, it seems like we have a large pot already.
No,
But
this is,
it's intended for the dredging at some future date.
well, let's turn to get a more specific number on that. Let's turn to page 241 so we can look at the special taxing district. If you look on page 242 is the funding source.
Right.
And you can see at this point, we only have $348,730 reserved for future dredging.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So as we proceed, we have the personal property tax, we have personal railroad and public utility taxes, and we have interest and penalties and delinquent taxes. So the estimated revenue proposed for this category is $43,591,700. The next table shows the assessed value of our real property. As you can tell, there's been an increase of about 13.5%, and that's largely due to the ongoing increase in the assessed value, but also having to do with the latest construction going on at the various locations, one being the South Lake and the Mill Branch in Milford. So those three categories, along with the ongoing increase in the assessed value, which runs about anywhere from 5 to 6%, gives us our assessed evaluation for FY26. If you turn to page 34, this page displays the assessed value for all the special taxing districts. And as you can see, those values continue to increase. And we only develop a tax rate that's large enough to absorb the actual costs expected in the particular budget year. Page 35 is a recap of the, yes, sorry.
Going back to the very bottom of page 33, talking about the special taxing districts, the very end, it says, no taxes have been levied for the rideshare bus system districts after FY95, when the city's rideshare program was discontinued. That's been 30-plus years, yet we keep having this entry in the budget for District 3, 4, 9, and 10. Is there a reason why we have to carry this over as an item that is reported as zero all the time? Or can we just delete those 4 taxing districts?
Mayor, good question. They're basically placeholders so that we don't forget that we have these ride shares out there. At some point in time, the city may want to do a transportation look back, and we need to know what we've done in the past. And they're just placeholders. And truly, we could eliminate them, but I'm afraid that we might forget about them 10 years from now when someone may want to use the ride share as a way of collecting revenue to handle transportation in those areas.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
While we're at a pause, a quick question, follow-up. On that same page there on the assessed valuation, we're at 9.8. Do we have any indications of what the expectation is for property values? I know we're in the third year of the cycle for property tax valuations. Any indication of where things are going?
Thank you for the question, Councilman. Yes, property assessed values are going up, and we are seeing an increase anywhere between 5 to 7% on properties in the city of Bowie.
Okay. So, but we don't get it all at once, we get it incrementally, correct?
Well, we are capped at that 5 to 7%, which pumps it up a little bit, Councilman, is when we have additional properties coming on, so the assessed value tends to climb. But as far as a cap, yes, we're capped at 5% increase on our assessments.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's go to the section in the middle of page 35 where we refer to the business taxes. We have hotel motel taxes. We're estimating at $589,400 for the year. The next section is our licensing and permits that we are estimating at shy of $1 million for FY26. We kind of feel that we're not going to have such robust numbers with our building permits in FY26. Most of those constructions are in process, and we have already collected the building permit fee. On page 26, we're dealing with the federal grants that the city receives. The first grant is the Community Development Grant, which is a grant from HUD, Department of Human and Urban Development. We received that $170,000, and it's used to fund our senior citizens home rehabilitation program managed by the Grants Department. The additional federal grant relates mostly to the police department. We get some grants from federal agencies that they go out and actually see what grants are available for cities that we qualify for, and we normally get a small portion of that. The next category is our state grants. Again, the first state grant, small amount, $2,300, but it's mostly related to police, and most of that is grants for like body armor that we receive. Youth Services Grant for $107,000. That helps fund those programs that we have at the Youth Services Bureau. Next major source of revenue is on page 37. It's our state shared revenue. Again, City Council and Mayor, I just want you to understand that most of our revenues are determined by actual numbers that we receive from the state. Some is done by trend analysis, and the others are done by estimates. We receive the assessed value from the state of Maryland each year in February of what they project that revenue to be. Of course, we look at the flows of revenues throughout the past fiscal years to determine how likely we're able to meet those numbers that the state is giving us. So there's normally some type of up and down as we adjust those numbers. But most of our numbers that we receive, the large share of the numbers, they're mandated to us. Mostly highway user revenue. They tell us what those numbers are. Those are no estimates from the finance department. The income tax, large portion of that is an estimate, but we get ongoing information from the Bureau of Estimates of what that income tax amount is going to look like. So we're comfortable with the numbers that we're providing you. The Police Protection Grant, again, that's another grant that we basically know how much we're going to be getting. So there's no estimate there. Our next section is the grants and other local units.
Pardon me.
Yes, sir.
Quick question for you. I want to go back to that chart, the admission and amusement taxes. There was, my understanding is there was an agreement for Maryland National Park and Planning to do a significant upgrade at Bowie Bay Sox Stadium, Chesapeake Bay Sox. Do we know if that's coming, and do we expect any difference in admission and amusement taxes as a result of that?
Good question, Mayor, Councilman. We have a couple of items going on over there. The Bowie Bay Sox, several years ago, when they were not in the incorporated area of Bowie, actually paid their amusement tax to the city. And
Very thoughtful, very generous, very kind neighbors.
And we collected that for quite some time. About 3 or 4 years ago, we had a reconciliation about that. And up until now, we are still paying that back through a reduction in the amount that we receive in our amusement tax. And until that is totally paid off, we won't be seeing any real increases to that particular tax revenue.
How much do we still owe, if you will?
I'll have to get back with you on that. I don't have that number in front of me, sir.
Thank you. I thought we were out of debtor's prison. Thank you.
The next section is grants and other local units. County grants, basically supporting youth services. And we get a grant for the rebate of landfill fees, and we get a grant from the Maryland Park and Planning for the upkeep of Allen Pond. As you can see, they have increased that amount for FY26. And that's a ongoing amount, just not a one-time amount. Our next section on page 38 represents charges for services. As you can see, Councilman and Mayor and Councilwoman, now that we are joined, those are our general revenues, as you can see them. I won't list them individually. I'd just like to highlight one item there, the athletic fields fees. Staff would like to reduce that number to 30,000 instead of the 130,000. After speaking with the Director of Community Services, we understand that we've lost our major customer to the new athletic fields that the county has arranged. So we will adjust that number and provide you with the change as we go forward in the budget presentation.
Quick question on that. Who was that was that for Allen Pond?
That was Maryland United Soccer. Used to be Free State Soccer. They were all over the city, many different fields. They rented the synthetic turf fields all winter long, every day of the week. They brought in quite a substantial amount of revenue to the city for athletic field use. A lot of their program is now over at Liberty Sportsplex, where they have their entire program can be there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. While I have a break here, can we go back to, Mr. Matthews, can we go back to page 36 in the federal grants? We have a community development line item of 170,000 as in expected revenue from for federal HUD type activities. Is that worth our effort? That is to say, I know that we've spent we spend a significant amount of staff time to compile paperwork and to do all the necessary reporting to be eligible for getting HUD grants. With the numbers going down to this number where we had it before, it was, almost 500,000, at least it was budgeted that way, but it's looking like 190 for 24, 25, with an expectation of 170 for the future. Has anybody done any crosswalk to see if it's worth our time and effort to take on the administrative burden for 170 grand?
Thank you for the question. Basically, this program is an entitlement program for us. We're going to receive this money basically because we are no longer part of the county's representation. So Bowie is carved out. So we get this $170,000 a year. And then the budget year for FY25, those were funds that we had not used. So we had to double up on those funds to appropriate them, to spend them in FY25. But the allotment that we get is normally about $170,000. It did go down about $14,000, but right now we're at about 170. And we're going to get that money regardless. It's nothing for us to apply for. The federal government allocates that based on our definition of the city.
So when we do our HUD paperwork and our community grant, all of the paperwork that we do that, staff works with, we get that whether we do that paperwork or not?
We do have to follow up with how we spent the money, and that's all done electronically. The actual process is that they provide us an award letter each year. They tell us how much we're going to get. Then the grants department goes about their process of finding residents who are in a situation where their houses need new windows
Sure.
or roofs and things of that nature. And those residents are then selected, an amount is appropriated, and we go to the next year.
Well, there are some requirements, federal requirements for filing and reporting. But the numbers hasn't changed very much in the last 8 years, how much we get. We do use it. There seems to be more of a need for helping people out lately. But there are some federal required reporting paperwork that Jesse and his team does. There's been no indication in the last 8.5 years that it wasn't from Mr. Buggs and his team that we were working hard for nothing. There's no evidence to support that. Of course, it did cost us during COVID.
Yes, it sure did.
Mightily, and compared to other cities. But I guess we could, if you all direct us, just tell them we don't want the money, but that would be a policy decision, of course.
All right, I'm just trying to find out if it's, as you say, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? I mean, am I spending $170,000 worth of am I spending $200,000 worth of man hours reporting and a bunch of other, activities so that I can get $170? And if the answer is we're still coming out ahead, then I'm comfortable with it. But I just want to make sure that somebody's kind of eyeballing it and saying.
We are. I mean, we mix our grants people manage these who are doing other things for us and getting grants and money from a lot of other places are managing this. It is not the overwhelming workload for them.
All right.
But it does provide us with some relief to help people out here in a town where everybody seems to have so much, and especially with the housing and other the homeless problem too.
Excellent, thank you.
We can begin on page 39. We can talk about fees and fines. That section is 3.1 million as proposed for FY26. Next revenue section is other revenues. The major category there is interest income. We expect a decrease in our interest income revenue just because of the lower interest rates and less amount to invest over the next fiscal year. On page 40, we're showing you the appropriated fund balance. That's the need in order to balance the budget for this year, which is $19,711,800. Next section is the transfers from other funds. That's $532,100 from the Water and Sewer Fund. It reflects the time that our employees spend doing work for the Water and Sewer Fund. Next section is our total general fund revenue summary. As you can see, the total revenue that we expect this year is $71,483,500. Again, the fund balance portion is $19,711,800, and the transfer $532,100 for a total revenue of $91,727,400. The next section I like to go over is the city rental and user fees, along with the permits and other fees. Council, I want to reiterate that each year, staff goes through each and every revenue source on the next couple of pages. I have provided you with a copy of the proposed numbers. There are a few changes, not many to talk about, but if you would like me to address any of those between myself and Mr. Spurgeon, we can get through them.
Yes, I have a quick question for you on Kent Hill Center, the leased offices. Are all of our tenants now in good standing?
From my understanding, they are. Yes, from my understanding, they are.
Okay, thank you. And one more follow-up question on that. There's a proposed increase, which I don't want to say it's decimal dust, but it's small. What is the basis for our determination of the valuation of that fee?
It's normally just market-based. We are looking at what the square footage in this area is costing us. There's an evaluation done by the finance department along with the community service folks, and that determination says we need to revise the rates in this category or we don't.
Okay.
But
Thank
it's
you.
basically market-driven.
Thank you.
Yes.
Question two. When I look at the summer day camp per week, those numbers.
What
for the
page are you
resident-
on there? What page are you on, sir?
I'm sorry, I'm on page 4.
Okay.
And I'm looking at other gymnasium fees.
Page 4. Page 4?
On the handout.
Oh,
On the
the
handout.
Okay. Sorry.
I'm using a revised copy.
Yes, sir.
My question was, now, it looks like is that money that is paid to us for the,
Yes, this is all revenue to us, sir.
okay, so we hold the summer day camps, and we
Yes.
charge $225, what it is, well, $230 per person,
Right.
residence, for those summer day camps?
Yes,
per
sir.
week? Is that per week?
That's for the camp? Yes. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
With the conclusion of the general fund revenues, council and mayor, if you would follow me to capital projects on page 169.
Excuse me one second. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Can I get a copy of this? That's all right.
Sent it to your email.
I'm sorry, I didn't print it. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
I'm sorry, I thought they had put one on your seat.
On page 169, we are referencing the Capital Projects Fund. How the Capital Projects Fund is used. The Capital Projects Fund works in conjunction, but is not the same as the Capital Improvement Program, CIP. The CIP is a 6-year plan, which the council adopts in the form of a resolution to authorize improvements or acquisition projects. The current budget year portion of the plan must be funded by amounts appropriated in the annual budget ordinance. So we're here this evening, Mayor and Council, to inform you of the revenue sources for the capital project program for FY26. As you can see in summary, we plan to use 7.2 million of the appropriated fund balance. We require a transfer from the general fund of 5.7 million. Intergovernmental revenues will be 2.9 million, and other revenues will be $479,600 for a total of $16,322,600. The graph indicates how those revenues break down in percentages. All other revenue, 3%, intergovernmental revenue, 18%. The general fund transfer is 35%, and the appropriation from the fund balance is 44%. As you move to the next page, 170, you can actually see where the funding matches the project. And I won't go detail by detail, but you can see from the fund balance what projects are using fund balance revenue. The next section is the general fund transfer, what projects are using that. We have intergovernmental transfers, or intergovernmental revenues, excuse me. This item here, and I guess this is a good time to bring it up, the Allen Pond project is actually going to be moved to FY27. We have provided pages. 27.
FY26.
I'm sorry, FY26. What was happening there, we had an additional change for the Allen Pond program, which I'll let Mr. Lott get to when he goes through the individual programs. But it's dealing with the Ample Theater at the Allen Pond. Our next item is dealing with the state grants that we anticipate. The land acquisition program Open Space is a revenue source for the city to buy open space throughout the city when available. So we will have to meet a certain criteria in order to file for those open space monies. But the city has been very successful in the past of using that revenue source in order to purchase open space areas. Last section is the interest expense. The interest income, excuse me, for facilities maintenance. So our total use of revenue for the FY26 budget is $16,322,600. Are there any questions on that page? Hearing none. On page 172, we have the expenditure appropriation, which is a itemized list of all of the capital outlay requested in this year's budget. On page 173, we give you a little more context of what the money is actually being spent on for each one of those projects throughout the capital projects fund. And that ends on page 174. At this time, Mayor and Council, I would like to shift and pass this over to the city manager, who will go through the capital improvement program, starting on page 199.
Before we get to that, thanks, Byron. I appreciate it. I'd like to talk a little bit about the overall budget. If you go to Roman numeral 6, and I wrote you all a 15-page letter with all the details of what we're doing. I'm sure you've studied that and got that memorized. But I did want to talk about a little bit about it, not so much for you, but for the residents that are watching this on television and listening to us. The general fund budget for this fiscal year equals $91,727,400. That's an increase of $6,812,600, or 8% over the prior fiscal year. This increase reflects the increased need to transfer to the equipment acquisition and the capital improvement programs. This amount also includes a transfer of $2,215,700 to the equipment acquisition fund and $5,675,000 to the 6-year capital improvement program. The water and sewer fund has a proposed budget of $19,187,800. I could get into one detail or another about what we're going to spend, but the thing I want the residents to know, and my neighbors and Bowie, is what this is all for. We are a service delivery agency. I mean, our staff, our job is to provide one service or another to our residents, and I'll go through them briefly. We provide animal control, communications and outreach. We provide concerts, development review and planning, economic development with a 2-person plus a consultant now. Emergency management, full service, by the way. We provide green Bowie leaf collection. That's a Cadillac service, just for the record. It's the best in the region. Mosquito control, park maintenance, Bowie police, recreation, recycling collection, rental housing and property inspections, small business assistance, snow plowing, and we got a good workout in January, special events, extraordinaire, stormwater management, street lighting, installation maintenance. We provide maintenance of streets, sidewalks, and trail maintenance, trash collection twice a week, water and sewer for 7,900 customers, yard waste collection every Wednesday, and youth and family services. We have the following recreation facilities that we maintain and sustain, which are ball fields, city gym, the ice arena, our museums, parks, playgrounds, state parks, and the senior center. Those are the services we deliver in the city of Bowie, and for which we propose to spend that $91 million and the $19 million for the water and sewer. So, if you all could now move to page 199, and we're going to start with land acquisition. And what I propose to do is to go through each project that's going to be funded and discuss the particulars of it. So we'll start with land acquisition on page 206, as Mr. Matthews mentioned. As far as description goes, the funding has been identified for the acquisition of open space areas in and around the city. The amount available for the fiscal year 2026 appropriations provided by prior year transfer from the general fund, $98,500. Current year appropriation to the capital projects, $22,100. And the state program open space, which is $1,449,600. Currently, if you look at page 207, you'll see that for 2026, we will account for and receive $1,572,200. Currently, we do not have any major acquisition projects in front of us, but we are prepared to take advantage of any opportunities that arise or any issues that are presented to us by residents or the city council. Any questions regarding the land acquisition project that's listed on 206 and 207? All right. So the senior center, which is another Cadillac service, we have no project scheduled for that in this fiscal year. So we'll move past that. And that would have been on 208 and 209, but we'll move to the Kent Hill Center, which is on 210. For everybody's information, this facility is the home of the City of Bowie's Youth and Family Services and the Bowie Cable TV Studio. And this page provides for various facility and systems and equipment upgrades required to maintain the center so that it may continue to meet its tenants and then users' needs. We have currently proposed $100,000 to be spent in fiscal year 2026, if you look at page 211. We have rooftop unit replacement for $45,000. We intend to renovate the old Comcast suite so that it can be usable for something other than what they had it for. They were there for 30 years? Longer than that. A very long time, and it's not fit for for occupation and rental. And it's our intent to make it so and then eventually rent it out for, find a tenant. I'm sure somebody's going to want to work over there because that's a really nice place. And/or if a need arises and we need more space for staff, but I don't think that's the case. That's what our intent is for Kent Hill Center. Any questions regarding that? If not, we have no emergency operations center operations scheduled for, if you look at page 212. However, I will take a moment and pat ourselves on the back for what we did last year. We upgraded the emergency center with the latest technology so that we can operate and have 4 screens with different information going and communicate with anybody in the country from the city of Bowie regarding an issue. And our audiovisual systems there are as modern and upgraded as those that are here in this facility. And of course, we take pride and we protect that so that we don't operate that facility, let people use that room unless we can supervise. It's just too expensive, but nothing this year. If we can move, there's nothing scheduled for the Harmel House on page 214. And now we are at City Hall on page 216. In 2026, we plan to replace the floorings, which is phase 2 of an operation, for $120,000. That involves carpeting. We've been in this building for 16 years now, and the carpeting's worn out and it's due for replacement. And also, we have $4,000 scheduled for the construction management component of this project, and that's what that money's for. If you look down here, you'll see the funding is coming from the general fund itself to the tune of $124,000. Any questions regarding the City Hall project? If not, we'll move to page 218, which is our gymnasium. If you look at 219, you'll see that we're planning to put in a gym floor. We're finishing for $65,000 and floor replacement. I beg your pardon. That's incorrect. And 2026 restroom renovation, including new tile, flooring, and painting, is what this $66,000 is for. And oh, by the way, this is also another Cadillac service. Our gymnasium is one of the best in the region and gets an awful lot of use. As a matter of fact, 7 or 8 years ago, we had to restrict the use for our residents, and that's worked out. Any questions about the gymnasium project? That's basically the renovation of the bathroom and painting and tiling. If we can move to the next page, the Welcome Center, which is 220. There's nothing programmed for that this year. Moving to the Genealogy Center, 222. Nothing programmed for that this year. The William Plains project, once again, there's nothing programmed for that this year. However, there's program in 27 and in 28 for renovations and all that, if the council continues with that mission for us, but not this year. Moving to
Mr. City Manager?
yes.
On the William Plains property, maybe I missed something. Several years ago, I got the impression that city staff gave us fairly straightforward guidance that there really wasn't much use for this particular property and that the extent of the needed renovations basically just didn't align in any way with like a particular city goal. Has there been any like new conversations about that?
No, but I think there was some interest, maybe from someone in the council about some sort of use of that facility, but right now it's boarded up. And the problem with that, the best thing for us would be to demolish it. But we're prohibited from doing so because it's a historical property, and therefore we can't. And so, I mean, go ahead, sir.
If I could chime in, one of the things we're looking at, I know we're all trying to find ways to create revenue streams here within the city. One of the things that's a possibility with the Williams Plains property is to be able to do the renovations to it and be able to utilize that as a center that we can rent out, particularly as we look at the Bowie Playhouse over there has really been thriving, and as we're putting money into that area to improve it, we're talking about potentially dinner theater and those kind of things that we can look at a revenue generation from that, but also looking at trying to get monies elsewhere to contribute to that. And so that's why we're looking at putting it in the out years and looking to try and do that so that it isn't just a blight just sitting there and a potential hazard.
I guess I understand. I'm just struggling to see how rentals from that property would make back 2.1 million.
It would be over time, yes, and it'll also be an opportunity for us to look at other events and things going on there, particularly with all the ballparks and all of that right there, plus, like I said, the Bowie Playhouse. I think we'll have an opportunity to generate revenue from that, but I also think that we'll be able to get some money from elsewhere to support that as well, and not just come directly from the city.
Where else from? From where else would we get money for this?
Potentially from the state.
Okay. My impression was their budget situation is such that if we think there's a realistic possibility the state's willing to contribute, great. I'm just knowing
Yeah,
where.
and that's why we put it in the out years.
Okay.
So that we could have more discussion and see about what we can get and actually start pushing forward to try and do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Did I answer the question for you, Councilman?
I'm skeptical. We'll see.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, City Manager.
Very good. Are there any other questions about this property, this project? If not, we'll move to the page 226, the energy efficiency improvements. Just for information, the projects focus on making the city facilities and land more energy efficient by implementing sustainability improvements, solar, thermal, electrical vehicle chargers, and that sort of thing. We have allocated, proposed $188,900. And if you look to page 227, you'll see that, we propose that a city fleet charging stations at City Hall replace the 4 chargers. For those who are familiar with the charging, we've fallen behind on the technology. The charging stations we have are really slow. It takes overnight to get a charge, or all day, and we don't. So we're looking to upgrade to a faster charging systems to, because we have more charging, we have more electric vehicles now. We have the vehicles that we have in our code enforcement. Mr. Mears drives an electrical vehicle. The police has 2 more now. So we really need the fast charge capability, and we don't have it. They're fighting, and people are fighting over the slow chargers. We can't have that. So also we budgeted $58,000 for an energy audit for City Hall and Kent Hill, which is a bit of a requirement for us. All right, so.
Mr. City Manager?
Yes.
The outfit that's over in Melford, that Blink.
St. John's.
Yes, no, Blink, the charging
those guys. Yeah, yeah.
manufacturers. Is there anything that that we could do in concert with them? I spoke with somebody just in passing over at the Green Expo over the weekend, which was a great event, and thank you to all who made that possible on city staff. So kudos to you guys for making that work. They indicated an interest and a willingness to provide some additional support for us. I would imagine that would include perhaps some consideration, at least, on the charging infrastructure that we have to maintain ourselves. But they are they are supplying now both the slow and the high-speed chargers. There may be some opportunity there to capitalize on, quote, a local outfit.
Councilman, we have been in touch with them. They are our consultant of choice, being a local business. They're providing us guidance through this process.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you very much.
Any other questions about our energy efficiency? If not,
There was some discussion at one point in time with regard to compliance for on-prem solar requirement based on state level legislation. How does that play in? I don't see anything in here for, and I would assume it would be in this category here for out years, because I'm not sure what the compliance dates are, but I would assume that we'd have to be looking at that.
we'd have to get back to you on that one and talk to her, Maddie and those guys and see what, I
Yes.
think we,
The,
you got it?
a little bit, yes. There are some compliance deadlines associated with that, and there's also been some efforts in regards to trying to get some changes in terms of the state law in regards to compliance. We have some time associated with that because, as you all know,
Yes.
we do have our electricity generation off premises, and so one of the things we've been seeking, communicating with our friends at the state is to modify some of those BEPS requirements to allow for that. So we do have some compliance time in regards to this, so it's not fully reflected in this budget, but it's not immediate for next year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then. If nothing else, we'll move to facility security on page 228. The city of Bowie is dedicated to ensuring the safety and security of everyone who visits and we are carefully identifying potential safety, security risks. If you look at page 229, you'll see that, the 315 that's proposed is one of the things we don't have that we ought to have is a PA system so that we, in case of an emergency, in case of a fire or an active shooter or some sort of emergency within the building where we've got 200 people, but we do not have a PA system. And so that's something that if we really ought to have, but if, also we're working on some phase parks and grounds facilities also, securing them. I know, you all know we had some theft of copper out there recently, but that's primarily what we're looking at. I mean, if we were in need of money to cut the budget, then maybe we could do that. But in this world with all the proliferation of guns and other things happening, we, in a PA system, would really make it easier for us to communicate through all the people in the building so we could take one action or another.
Thank you. Quick question on that. Would that be tied into our fire system as well?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions regarding the facility security? All right, let's move then to page 230, which is the ADA assessment project. Of course, the city aims to enhance the accessibility and utilization of its public facilities and services. Primary objective is to ensure strict adherence to the American with Disabilities Act and to develop and implement an ADA transition plan. If you go to page 231, you'll see for FY 2026, we've got a rather generic statement there. However, there are some specifics of what we will be doing with the $125,000. We got at the picnic pads, group areas 3, 4, and 7. We would be adding pads that will make those areas accessible to wheelchairs. And of course, we installed 88 doors at the city and more picnic pads throughout our parks to make those facilities more accessible for people with disabilities. Any questions regarding the assessment project? Okay, if not, we'll move to big transition to street resurfacing on page 233. As it goes without saying, we have, the city has currently maintained 193 miles of streets. I mean, put that in comparison. In the olden days, when I was a public works director in Tacoma Park, they only had 32 miles of streets. Of course, they had a speed hump in every block too, and we had 41 police officers who were banging up their cars on the street humps. But that's the difference. That's a lot of streets, and so it's a monumental task, but we do a decent job. If you look at 233, we're planning to spend $3,585,800. That's more than we normally do. However, on page 234, you'll see why. We're going to be resurfacing to the tune of $2,074,000. Consulting services for maintenance planning is $30,000. Design complete streets for Stony Brook and Superior, that's $150,000 there for the potential roundabout that's planned for that. Also, street LED lighting upgrades, $250,000, and a major project on 5th Street, which is a complete rehabilitation of that street to the tune of $1,031,000. And if you haven't been there, it really needs it. It's really substandard. And then traffic maintenance initiatives, we're planning to improve our performance in that, see if we can get a consultant to help us with that, comply with the council on that initiative. Any questions about street surfacing?
Yes, you mentioned Stony Brook and 150 for planning for a roundabout. At what point did we agree to put a roundabout in?
So the funds that are listed in here, correct a little bit, that is not associated with a roundabout. That was put in for complete street design along the extent of Stony Brook. The discussion of a roundabout was a secondary one that came after the preparation of this budget. if I may
Excellent,
correct
thank
the
you.
record.
And so the complete streets, that is separate and distinct from the earlier project that would have put bike path down
Kenny?
Kent Hill?
Yeah, that's different. That's different.
Or, yes, Mr. Mears, yes, no? Or
Yes,
is it-
it's separate and distinct.
Okay, so where would this cover? What part of Stony Brook?
My recollection, and Anna, if you can correct me, this is for the extent of Stony Brook to evaluate along the length of that street right away, correct?
Yes, sir.
To evaluate it for,
Compliance with the complete street evaluation.
okay. I thought we'd walked that back consistent with the walk back from Kent Hill.
Well, the Complete Streets program from Ken Hill, yes, that was removed and walked back. We can pull that one out also if there's no interest in that district.
Yep. I appreciate that, thank you.
Any other questions regarding street resurfacing? No, it's just out. It's just.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Would this be the part of the budget where the cost of the striping on the streets, in particular the drives, would that be an element in this part of the budget or somewhere else?
They'll be under operation budget, sir.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
They'll be under operation budget, sir.
Okay.
Not capital improvement.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions associated with street resurfacing? Okay, on page 235, sediment erosion control, Maryland Science Technology Center at Melford. We budgeted $144,600. This is a project where we accumulate funds for dredging. And in this particular instance, it is anticipated that the upper wet pond A will need to be cleaned of sediment in 2021, in 2100, FY 2100, at an estimated cost of $9,518,254. And Part B would be cleaned in 2064 at an estimate cost of $13,507,038. So these are reserves that are being stacked up to complete those requirements. And that's all, that's a special district for collection for that. Any questions regarding the Maryland Science and Technology Center at Melford? If not, then we'll move to page 237, which is the Bowie Town Center sediment control. Once again, it's anticipated that the stormwater management pond will need to be cleaned of sediment in 2115. Reserves have been set aside in anticipation of dredging and other major maintenance costs. There was a hydrographic survey was performed in FY 2008 to better analyze life expectancy calculations. In 2010, a study was performed to recalculate the distribution of taxes and the funding in this project is provided by special taxing district at 58% and general revenues 43%. So we are setting aside $67,800 for in FY 2026 for this project. Any questions regarding this this district project?
Yeah, just a quick question, and it goes back to the last one, the Maryland Science and Technology, but it's applicable to all of them. There's a statement here, it says FY 21, 2,100, many years away, is an estimated cost of $9,518,254. Is that the estimated cost at that time, or is that in today's dollar?
That is a projected cost.
So that's the projected cost?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And the costs are reviewed every 5 years. The projections are reviewed every 5 years. So, sediment control for High Bridge. Any questions? All right, so a hybrid stormwater management district consists of a wet basin and wetlands. A hydrographic survey was completed in 2018, and was limited, and cleaning of sediment should be deferred to 2068. The reserves are expected to generate sufficient interest earnings to cover the anticipated maintenance and cost. So the costs are 13% to the special district and 87% from the city. And that's to the tune of 200 and, so that money has been set forward. There's zero in it for this year. And so they expect that the interest will suffice. Gateway Center, which is page 241. This is the one we spoke of earlier. This is normally called the International Renaissance Center. Stormwater Management District consists of the drainage channel and the wet pond. The pond was dredged in 2010. That cost of $206,000. Accumulated reserves are expected to generate sufficient interest to cover the cost. In FY 2026, improvements will be made to the Gateway Harbor Pond that cost of $1,300,000 in compliance, so that we can be in compliance with the mandated state and federal requirements. So any questions about this? We do intend to communicate once again in writing with all the businesses associated with this so they can be informed. Also, we'll look into whether we can legitimately and without breaking any rules push this out to give them an opportunity to adjust to what's about to happen. Any questions?
Just quick reminder here. So this stormwater is responsible for everything to include Target all the way through to the Omni building, is that right? Is that the entire area?
Yes, sir. That's the entire watershed basin. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? All right, then we'll sediment control for Covington. We've got $32,700 that have been set aside. The actual dredging is scheduled to occur in FY 2102, an estimated cost of $4,782,200. So, and that the funding of this project is provided by the special taxing districts, Penn Oak Plaza, 18%, Elder Oaks, 10%, Collington, 19%, and by general revenues from the city of 53%. So, and what like I said, we've added $32,700 to that pile of money. Any questions regarding that? So, if not, we'll move to page 245, which is stormwater management. Public stormwater management and capital improvements for programs provided funding for corrective actions needed to maintain the city's stormwater infrastructure. This infrastructure includes storm sewers, storm drains, inlets, stormwater outfalls throughout the city. We currently plan to spend $730,000 in FY 2026 to meet this mission. And of course, we have an entire team of division in Public Works that does just that, facilitates this. In 2026, we're going to do neighborhood draining solutions of $250,000, consultant dredging reports, 2 per year, $80,000, bridge and culvert repairs throughout the city to the tune of $200,000, the Covington Stormwater Management Pond reconstruction design for $100,000, Rolling Hills Stormwater Management Pond reconstruction design for $100,000, a total of $730,000 for stormwater management CIP projects. Any questions regarding what we're going to do in 2026? If there are no questions, we'll move to page 247, which is the Public Works facility. As for those who don't know, Public Works facility is in the vicinity of 450 and 3 and Highway 3 there, and a large facility. And one of the things we maintain over there are our salt domes. So in 2026, we're planning to replace the salt dome building and parking area at the Public Works facility, Phase 1, for $600,000. Additionally, we've got some gate maintenance and repair, $26,000, and we have to buy 4 door openers and 3 springs to the tune of $20,700. Boy, I sure got in the wrong business. It's really expensive, but that total is $646,700 for, and there are 3 phases to the replacement of the salt dome and the upgrade of the facility.
Mr. City Manager, quick
Yes.
question for you. We recently gave a easement or granted access to the property to the east of the Public Works Road. Are there any costs that we expected to incur as a result of that?
No, we're not anticipating any cost there. We will have an issue in regards to our front gate, and we will need to provide access to the contractors because the access is just beyond our front gate to access that site. So we'll accommodate that with the improvements to the gate for allowing those contractors to be able to access past that point. But other than that, no anticipated.
Any concerns about security or access to our facilities as a result?
We have another gate past that.
Excellent. It's good to have good fences and making good neighbors. Thank you.
All right, then. So the streets and utilities building, there are no expenses on that this year. Facility preventive maintenance is on page 251. The city has a significant capital investment in its public facilities and structures. The project allows the city to pursue refurbishment and preservation of its public facilities without the need to incur additional debt. The facilities assessments are performed to determine the status of the city facilities. And for example, a major maintenance item includes a roof replacement, heating, ventilation, air conditioning replacement, electrical improvements, and other major rehabilitations in city projects. So there'll be $45,000 at Ken Hill, planned and projected. Allen Pond, $35,000 in the maintenance. White Marsh Park turf field, $584,000, total of $703,000. If you look at the next page, 252, you'll see that all total, we're planning to spend $858,100 in preventive maintenance operations, which is one of the reasons why our facilities are still pristine after all these years. Any questions on the facilities maintenance?
Yes, City Manager, I see on page 251 for White Marsh Park turf field, there is almost a $600,000 cost there. What is what is that? That seems high.
So we're going to get to that when we get to the White Marsh CIP. Is the replacement of the synthetic turf field. That project will likely come in around $780,000. So that price right there, this budget, the facility preventive maintenance budget, is a vehicle for saving funds to be used towards projects.
So part of that funding of that $700,000 replacement of the turf field will come from this budget. But every year, I believe every year, we have to have the turf field inspected to make sure that it meets the requirements for people, you know, when people fall, and it provides a cushion and safety. And we are right at the edge in that particular field. So that's
So
why-
we're replacing the entire field?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're not refurbishing.
Yeah, so the process calls for pulling up the turf, recycling it, pulling up the crumb rubber infill, which is mixed with the sand, and they ultimately sift through that material. The goal is to recycle as much of that rubber material as possible back into the field, lay down new sand, new aggregate, put the rubber back in place, and then put new carpet, for lack of a better word, new turf, synthetic turf, down onto the field.
About how long will the turf field be without use?
Without use, about 6 weeks.
That's pretty quick,
Yeah,
okay.
they're very quick.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right then. So the next would be Solid Waste Administration Facility on page 253. As you all know, the Solid Waste Division is our largest division with at least 58 employees. I think we have a couple more now. And of course, and this is a simple one, we simply need to replace the HVAC system so we can provide support to our troops down there. Any questions about that particular issue? If not, we'll go to 255, which is the Chesapeake Bay. Okay, so on December 29th, 2010, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency established the Chesapeake Bay Total Maximum Daily Load, TMDL. The TMDL is a comprehensive pollution diet to restore clean water to the Chesapeake Bay and the region's streams, creeks, and rivers. Now this, by definition, is an unfunded mandate. We receive no funds for that, but are required to do it, and we're required to stay on top of it. There are no special tax associated with this. So if you look on page 256, you'll see that Saddlebrook Stream Restoration for $30,000 is planned. Stream Restoration MS3 and 4 construction is $2,800,000. Could you explain that to what that is?
Yes, sir. So if I may, the first item is it's an annual monitoring. So right now we are it requires a 5-year monitoring, annual monitoring, and we are year 405. Next year will be our last year for monitoring. And for stream restoration, as a manager manager mentioned, that's simply to comply with the EPA regulations. We are at the designing stage. Those both are expected to be completed by this end of fiscal year, and that possibly we can combine that. So MB stands for middle stream, and MS stands for main stem. So main stem 3, main stem 4, those projects can be combined, potentially could save some money, minimizing the mobilization for this project.
Excuse me, can you speak to where these projects are located?
So
Yeah, I think we're going to need to follow up with a map in regards to exactly where this is located along the Mill Branch.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, so,
I'm sorry, I apologize. On that, when you're doing that, getting the map, also for just as a follow-up, are we doing these repairs because we know there is a specific emissions problem in that area? Or are we doing this repair because it makes us compliant with the standards?
So the city received a report that we are non-compliant. That's why, and also we are to make improvements by the end of end of year 2025.
Gotcha.
To add just a little more to that, essentially this is an erosion issue. So the bank erosion is at such a level that they're looking for stream bank restoration so that the sediments coming from the erosion of the stream channel no longer flow down into the Chesapeake.
Gotcha, all right. Yeah, I'm curious as to where those may be, and appreciate any other insights. Thank you.
all right, the next will be the Bowie Playhouse. Bowie Playhouse is a beloved local venue that offers affordable, high-quality live theater, music, and arts and entertainment for the Bowie community and beyond. We're planning to spend $51,500 on this CIP project. It will be, $40,000 will be on the fly system replacement for A&E and cost estimates of $40,000. Well, that's the moving parts above the stage, for those who don't know what that means. And the metal stair installation for $11,500. And those funds are coming from the general fund.
Excellent.
City Manager, at one point, we had talked about making some improvements, I think, in the parking there and the lighting there. Did we include that, or do we need to include that at this point?
It's in the beyond, under FY 35 Playhouse, new parking lot, 750,000.
Under where?
It's in the beyond. If you look at the project summary cost, it was pushed out
Yeah, I
to the
see
beyond
that.
years. I mean, we could move that up to 27, and of course, that's
Yeah, if-
$750,000. I mean,
Yeah, I think when we had talked about that as a council, when we were going through that, we were talking about just for safety purposes and other things, improving the lighting there and also making sure we improve the parking. As they had been doing more and more plays there and selling them out and having a lot more traffic there. I think for safety purposes, we may want to look at moving that up.
all right?
Yeah, so if we could.
All right, we'll move it up to 28.
Nick, is that something that's doable?
Yes, so in order to do that, I would recommend that we, and I'll work with the city manager on this, to put AE and cost estimating 1 year prior to whatever year we're going to put the project in.
So we
Yeah, I think
probably do the
Mr. City Manager
estimating
just
this
mentioned
year
28
for
for,
next year?
I'm sorry,
So we put the estimating in this year for next year?
that's correct.
Okay. Is it possible to do that, City Manager? Can you do that?
Yes,
for us? Yes,
if you're all in
okay with
agreement.
that, yeah.
All right.
I have something a lot easier for you. First of all, kudos to the staff. I was over there over the weekend and saw a great production of The Odd Couple. So good time was had by all. But I did note, with regard to the lighting, there's a light on the side of the building that just flickers. It's just miserable. It's just going right. Someone could take a quick look-see at that.
Yes, sir.
I don't think it will need.
Yeah.
I think Oscar did that.
He may have, yes.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Councilman, go
Thank you.
ahead.
And if I may add, I think we talked about last year as well in terms of collaborating with the city rangers in times of closing. There has been some inconsistency with the time the Playhouse closed and the gate locks. So I'm not sure if, I know we had discussed that last year. Last year I got locked in, but I knew the roundabout route. So yeah, along with the lighting, of course. So
We'll be certain to talk to the park rangers.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right then. We'll move to the,
Councilman,
I'm sorry.
Just following on, first off, I appreciate my colleague's comment about the light on the side. It was kind of distracting walking there Saturday night when Kathy and I went to the show. Two things. One is, when we drove in, much of that whole drive, past Sport Fit and everything, is in terrible condition. I'm assuming that would be covered by the out year, the 700, whatever it was, 750,000, or is that just the parking area?
Now, so the master plan for White Marsh Park, the parking lot in question,
The back one?
the new parking lot in question,
Okay.
it's mapped to take out some acreage of woods up and adjacent and contiguous to the Playhouse. So no, it does not include the roadway. Any additional, those kind of improvements we'll have to take into consideration for the budget.
Okay. I was just going to make a pitch that if we're talking about it being down the road a year or two or three, can something be done with the rutted, gravelly area of the parking lot? Because it was a bumpy ride going into the show.
Yes, sir.
Just the parking area is just not smooth.
Yeah,
And
so-
it's a wear and tear weather and all.
Yeah, under our Parks and Grounds budget, we have asphalt repair type, and we're about to let the advertising out for that contract. We'll be certain to look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Nick. Thank you.
All right. So next is the Bowie Stable. Bel Air Stable Museum is not programmed this year. The next would be Allen Pond 261, where there is a new sheet of paper that shows what that is. We plan to spend $2,050,000 in FY 2026. One would be, first would be the procurement of the modular canopy structure for the amphitheater project at $440,000. Amphitheater project permitting, third-party review, demolition and destruction, and construction of $1,510,000, and the renovation of the boat restroom for $100,000. Those are the costs associated with Allen Pond. Any questions about that? Of course, no park gets more use than Allen Pond, right? Okay. We just talked about White Marsh in detail, but as I mentioned earlier, We are planning to spend $805,000, if you look at page 264, primarily to renovate a synthetic field, 775, basically to replace that field, and a new scoreboard, because the current one, I understand, is not operational. Any questions about White Marsh Park? If not, we'll move to the Bowie Ice Arena on page 265. The new ice skating facility will be built upon approval of the council on a city-owned parcel of land adjacent to the existing Bowie Golf Course. The new 49,000 square foot building will include one National Hockey League size ice rink with spectator seating, 5 team locker rooms, concession stands, and 2 multi-purpose rooms that can be used for rental, community space, and more. So that project is out to bid currently, with the expectation of the bids coming in by April the 24th. Anticipation of bringing that project to the city council for that contract for approval in the first, and it works in a official meeting in May. If you look at FY 2026, we are, of course, we encumbered 2025's construction money, and so there is some other, there's about $2,800,000 for contingent construction, assuming that you all approve the project in May. Any questions about the proposed new ice arena?
City manager, when we talk about the ice arena, I know part of the discussions we had was what the actual cost would be for us. Going through, as we looked at getting a bond for that, or raising the money for it, and the cost of money and those kind of things. So will we go out and get the estimate of what it will cost, and then we'll look at what the cost of money is and those kind of things to actually move forward with it? Because I think with some of the issues that we're facing, just being very candid, with the tariffs, because I know on the ice arena, we were talking about a lot of equipment and pieces needed to come from China and other places, and all with the high tariffs that are being placed on now and the interest rates being higher than when we first talked about it. Will we have a chance to really get a feel for what it is we'll have to go out for to be able to pay for it at this point?
Oh, certainly. When the bids come in and the best bid is selected and presented to you, that bid will encompass the cost of the project.
Okay,
We'll know then.
So it'll be a turnkey. I'm just making sure that we don't get caught with a whole lot of change orders and that kind of thing. But I think you can handle it. I get what you're saying. You want a bid that's a solid bid, and that's it.
Right, and then after we get the bid in and you all have approved it, then we'll go out and get the money.
I think what I'm saying though is can we have a reflection of what that will look like as a cost to us for the
Yes.
money?
You'll know
Before we
that.
approve,
Oh, yes.
before we approve.
You'll know the interest rates, you'll know what we'll pay, every aspect of the financing. You'll have to approve that too. And we have a consultant that works with us, and one that helps us get keep our AAA bond rating, and will work as a broker to help us to bring the financing to us.
Right.
And you'll know what all those numbers are before you vote on that.
I just didn't want to put the cart before the horse, but it sounds like we have a process that we'll be doing. I just wanted to make sure that we will be able to.
Well, we
see all
certainly,
that.
we could not go out and work
I
on the
got you.
finance without the approval. But once you guys
Understood.
approve the project, then we'll go bring the money back to you. And because we are AAA, you will get the best rate out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, the same way we did the last time.
We want to make sure we keep it that way.
Well, yeah, you betcha.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Park is zero for us this year. Church Road Park is a 94-acre park that provides soccer fields, football fields, and practice football fields, as well as acres of woodlands, fields, and open space. We're planning to spend $60,000 on that this year for scoreboards on fields 2 and 3, which are currently inoperative. Any questions about Church Road Park? If not, we'll move to page 271. Jericho Park is a multi-use recreational park with 3 lighted baseball fields, 1 lighted softball field, playground, and trails. We're planning to spend $45,000 on that to replace for batting cages and bullpens with solar lights to the tune of $45,000. All right. Any questions regarding Jericho Park? If not, NCN Parks and Grounds, NCN property where we have our solar panels, that's not a project for this year. The Bel Air Mansion is on page 275. Bel Air Mansion built in 1775 and listed as the National Registry of Historic Places. Offers a look at Bowie's earliest history. The mansion interprets the lives of residents from 1745 until 1950. In 2026, we are going to do the Memorial Garden design and A&E to the tune of $20,000, with the idea of conducting a construction of that memorial park, which is will commemorate the enslaved people who built that facility and worked at that plantation, doing that next year. Any questions regarding what I mentioned? All right, if not, the Bowie Golf Course. Of course, Bowie Golf Course is 130 acres, 18-hole golf course that is managed and run by a third party for the city, and which is different than it was before. And that partner is Indigo Golf Partners. So on page 278, you'll see that we driving lane renovation, and of course there's a contingency of $545 for that. Replace the siding and roof on the cart barn, $125,000. Tree maintenance, removal, and landscape tree planting, to the tune of $60,000, all total $730,000. Any questions regarding that?
Yes, we have seen, or I should say, I've heard that we have seen an increase in utilization of the facilities, that is to say, at least what we have been understanding utilization to be. How is that, how much more are we getting in revenue than we anticipated?
Let's follow up afterwards, and I'll get you a copy of that report. I don't have the numbers right in front of me here.
Excellent, thank you.
I did hear on a reliable news source, not a fake news source, but a reliable news source, that since COVID-19, the use of golf courses throughout the country has soared 16 to 20%. And as people are coming back and getting back on the course, and golf is having a renaissance at present. I know they suffered a little bit for a while, but it's back. So I expect those numbers will be good. Any questions about our golf course? And here's a great subject: public art. All right. Of course, support of public art is a key initiative for the city of Bowie, championed by our Arts Committee and the Department of Community Services. We're planning to spend $50,000 in 2026 the larger public art project to be determined by the Arts Committee, by the people. They're still working on it. So we'll keep talking to them and keep working with them to come with what the project should be.
Ask a question real quick. Mr. City Manager, earlier this afternoon, I had people talk to me about the Bowie sign that replaced the hedges. And I guess the question is, I was trying to figure out what the level of the community engagement was. Now, I know sometimes the community is not engaged when you ask them, and so we go ahead and do what we want to do. And I also talked to people about branding, because this is part of the branding of city with the B and all that other stuff. But when the Arts Committee goes out, is it a normal practice that they engage community in decisions that they make?
It's my understanding that they do, that
Okay, I just needed to go on public record for that. That's what happens, that,
So for this particular public art, there were 2 public meetings that was held.
say that one more time.
There were 2 public meetings that were held.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
and that's specifically for the sign itself, is that what you're talking about, right? But the branding process went on for about 1.5 years, and with several public processes involved. But you know what art is, you like it, somebody else doesn't like it. It's just been the way, some people think Mona Lisa's a wonderful picture. I'm not that crazy about it, but it's worth $28 million for a painting. But it's in the eye of the beholder, I believe. But we did seek.
Thank you.
If I could on that as well, I know we put some plantings down. That's correct. And I think people need to understand it's going to take a while for it to get its full bloom of how it looks. And so we'll do that. And also, is there going to be any lighting on the sign?
We're going to come back to the project after, 3-6 months and take a look at landscape lighting opportunities.
Okay. But again, I think everybody should know that there are plantings that you did there.
Yes, yeah, they're juvenile plantings, so yes, there will be growth, more mature growth as time goes on.
Well, I think that'll late May, June, we should see what it's going to look like in that respect. So keep our fingers crossed.
Go ahead, Councilman.
Just a comment on this. I know the chair of the committee very well, and I've talked to her on this separately. But I have a concern that it seems that the majority of the public art that we've done has been centered around City Hall. And I really think if we're wanting to have art in public spaces, we need to push it away whenever possible. I know there are times that we may not be able to do that, but I would hope that in the effort that goes forward with the public art, that we look for opportunities out of the community to put something rather than have it all here at City Hall.
We'll share that with the staff liaison and promote that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. So then Blackstock Park is not a project this year. We did not propose anything for the Bowie Railroad Museum this year. We did push out the Railroad Museum project of $924 till '27. Glen Allen Park is.
I got a quick question on the Bowie Railroad Museum. So I realize this is a $924,000 price tag. My question is, from what I understand in the past, when we've delayed some elements of this particular ongoing project, we've had to restart the clock on permitting. What I understand is that currently we have a hot iron on the permits on this particular project. Do I understand that we may potentially be hitting another major clock reset on this by pushing this off?
There has never been a clock reset on permitting for this project. We're just getting permits issued at this moment. It's been through the design phase, design element. Yes, once permits are issued and we pay for them, there's about a 2-year clock. The only thing that is required is us to submit another small fee to keep it current.
Okay, and we're not going to trip on anything by pushing this to 27?
No,
Okay. All right, thank you.
thank you.
Quick question, follow up on that. What's included in that 924?
So this goes back to the Grace Fielder design. It has to do with relocating the train apparatus that's there to the backside of the building and, for lack of a better word, creating a pedestrian plaza area. There is some historic elements. It looks really nice. There's an archway type, metal archway. There's a roundhouse, on the ground. That's about it.
Okay. Can you send me the artwork on the artwork, or whatever we have drawings on that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it's on these things, probably, but if we all just got a copy of it.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, we'll make sure it's delivered to everyone.
Is there any component of it, any, as I like to say, creeping incrementalism that we can do here? That is to say, is there anything we can knock off earlier, or does it all have to be done at once?
No, I think it's a lump sum type activity. The challenge with this is in FY21 that this project was budgeted for completion in FY27. At one point, it was jumped to FY45. It's been all over the place. The funding, the budget for this project has gone, I'm going to say, probably 10 years ago, where I believe it's $300,000 or $400,000 to $575,000 to now $900 and some $1,000. So there's been some project creep on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay then, so the next project, Glen Allen Park, we're not spending any money there. On the indoor court facility, that's been pushed out to 2030 with a site assessment for 2028. And so the next would be the Bowie Trails on page 289. We're planning to spend $275,000 on that, on our trails, including putting in trail repairs in Northview Drive, $75,000, Jericho Park Trail segment construction for $200,000, for a total of $275,000. All that money coming from the general fund. If there are any questions about that, we'll move to, there's no Centennial Park project planned for this year. Tanglewood would be next on 293. We're planning to put $20,000 in FY 2026 for trail improvements, benches, way marketing, signage, and ground material mulch. As you all know, we work with the Tanglewood organization, and in this, and they're shooting for they want to upgrade, but they don't want to modernize. They want to keep it as natural as possible. And so, matter of fact, my neighbor of 12 years didn't know I worked for the city until she became a Tanglewood person and started talking to me about it. But so that's their objective, and we're working with them on that, and I think we're doing good. The Racetrack Road property, as you know, I have 6 question marks there myself. I understand that the monies that were submitted, that were approved by the state of Maryland, that go through the county, what we have to ascertain is how much of that will we have access to, and we don't know that yet. And so we'll be meeting with Cornerstone and those guys to talk about it, and I guess we'll have to see what the criteria is to get access, because as you all know, once we take ownership, if that occurs, then there's some significant mitigation that is required as we deal with that property.
I think it's worth noting that we need to thank all the folks who helped to make that happen. That wasn't an easy task, because that 6.2 million ended up being put directly into the governor's budget. his supplemental budget and didn't go through the other places, and they did a good job of defending it.
This is it, right?
And so it went through the governor's budget, that whole 6.2 million. And now it will go through, well, we'll talk about that more. But I'm just really pleased with all the challenges that the state is facing, that we got that 6.2 million. All righty, city manager.
All right, well, Serene Parkway, we have no money scheduled for there. And the next will be the water plant. Of course, that's a water and sewer system. We'll cover that at another time. So based on what our plan, our work is done. Your work is done for this evening, unless you have something else you want to talk about regarding what we've gone over.
That's good.
I think we're good at this point. All right, I will
Suppose I'll.
entertain a motion.
I will make a motion for adjournment.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please respond with an aye. Aye. Opposed, same favor. Hearing none, motion carries. I'd like to thank the staff and everyone who was here, the entire team. This is a good-looking budget, as always. Mr. Matthews, city manager, and all of the staff, thank you for all the time and effort you put into this. We understand what it is to put together a budget, and we appreciate all that you've done to this point. And so have a great evening, and thank you for everybody who stayed tuned with us and walked through this. And thank you again.
And it's not midnight yet.
And have a good night.
Let's go back and revisit some things. Yeah, let's go do it again.